This is K1DBC. All stations please stand by. The Denver Radio Club Learning Net starts in around 5 minutes. From a podcast moving This Week in Radio Tech, episode 726, moving 8 radio stations on Maui with Russell Lafferty. Kami Broadcasting bought 6 radio stations, 2 AM, 4 FM, plus a number of transmitters on Maui. Russell has been building new facilities, and Twert host Kurt Harnack is helping with final wiring and configurations. So this is just a few minutes of an hour and 10-minute long video.
That's amazing. That's why they put the observatory way up there. Let's see what's next. You know, that looks like the Martian surface. All right, tell me about this building. We're going to have a video tour of this building in a few minutes.
This is our transmitter building right here. That is the end where you come into it, where you come in from the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to have a tour of the tower on the right. Has got a number of FM antennas on it.
You can see one on the top right now.
Yeah,
on the top right.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest one of those dishes is about 24 feet.
Oh my goodness! As far as we can tell, the big dishes
they are still being used.
They are.
Found out yesterday. Yes.
Well, we couldn't find the equipment that was running because all the equipment we saw was turned off.
It's running into the equipment in the smaller equipment in the other room.
Oh, okay.
It's a relay from the Big Island to Oahu.
Okay. And Kauai's in the way.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right.
Maui.
I'm sorry. Maui's in the way. All right. Let's see the next picture. What we got next, if anything? Okay. Tell us. This is the antenna, the radio we were talking about earlier that you found the interesting manufacturing problem with. What are we looking at?
That is the 11 gigahertz dish. And on the pipe that used to have another Yagi on it, and it has a homemade stiff arm on the bottom there. Very homemade, because it was vibrating in the 40, 50 mile an hour winds that are fairly constant up there.
Yeah. The day that we went up, the wind wasn't so bad. Yesterday, the wind it had to be 30 miles an hour down at sea level. I can only imagine what it was up there.
The guy that told me said they were expecting 70.
70. Wow. You can lean into that. All right, let's see what's next, if anything. Suncast, if you want to. Oh, okay. This is the bottom of the 11 gig dish. So I'm showing you what it's pointing at.
Yeah, that's down under the cloud there.
And that town, so the other end of this
where we're sitting
is it's right above our heads, and it's 18 miles, right?
18 and a half.
And to broadcast it to me and you, that sounds like a pretty darn good figure. But you know what? Those other big dishes, they're pointing to other islands.
Well, it's 85 miles to Oahu, and then they go there.
Wow.
I have no idea how much power they're running.
Speaking of power, the AC power for everything, or at least, for these sites, is on that power pole on the left.
Yep. That's the whole thing for us. Now, I don't know about the observatory and stuff, but that's what comes to all our sites up there.
Now, there are backup power generators, and we'll see those in our tour in just a few minutes. Next picture. Okay. This is a sneak peek at our video tour, but on the video tour, I didn't get a good video of this. This is our station's equipment rack in the transmitter building on Haleakala. And we let's go ahead and tell about this problem. You can see that in the top of the rack below this Ethernet switch, there are 4, they look like X nodes from Axia, but actually they're Omnia MPX nodes. They're decoders. So these are decoding micro MPX over IP and turning that into analog FM composite baseband, or an MPX signal. And we installed them. We installed the 11 gig dish. The 11 gig link worked great, but we were getting a whole.
This is K1DBC. All stations please stand by. The Denver Radio Club Learning Net will start in 1 minute.
Whole lot of packet loss showing up at the inputs of these Omnia MPX nodes. And we're scratching our heads because we were suspecting something wrong with the IP link. But the IP link showed nothing wrong. And yet we were getting as much as 20 and 25%.
I'd say a few million years probably.
Yeah.
Since the hotspot moved over the Big Island. So.
Wow, this barely fits in the frame of the camera. What is this?
This is part of it is Akamai broadcast tower. Also, it is the inter-island phone link system. For these go to the Big Island, those go over there to Oahu.
Oh wow!
And this is the link. This is the link site, and it also brings up the
2 stations, Caleb, and their combiner is up out of the way here, up toward the ceiling.
yes.
They have a lot of remote control here. Caleb, full EAS stack here.
All right, so for those watching on YouTube, that was from This Week in Radio Tech podcast. This Week in Radio Tech on YouTube, their most recent episode, I think 726, moving 8 radio stations on Maui with Russell Lafferty. So I'll play a few minutes after the net, but it's about an hour and 10 minutes long. This is K1DBC. Hello and welcome back to the Denver Radio Club Learning Net for March 5th, 2025. It's a great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics. And thankfully, we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. This is Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie. My name is Daron, and I'm this evening's net control. Tonight, we'll be taking your check-ins, comments, questions, updates, and more. We meet every Wednesday, except the third Wednesday of the month, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, on 145.49 and 448.625. Both have a negative offset. You can contact us via elmer@w0tx.org and most social media at Denver Radio Club. We also stream and archive our nets on youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. So if you'd like to see behind the scenes of the net or visual context, that is an additional way to participate in the net. Please do bear in mind a 100 hertz PL tone is required for transmitting, and there is around a 3 or 4 minute timeout. So please do be aware of that. If the repeater does timeout, it will come back about a minute later. So with that, this net can be broken at any time for emergency or priority traffic by using the word break. Is there any emergency or priority traffic at this time? All check-ins to the net will be taken in alphabetical groups based on the first letter of the suffix of the operator's call sign. That is the first letter after the number in the call sign. If you can, please try to use ITU phonetics for your call sign and indicate if you have traffic or questions as you check in. If you'd like, you can follow along with check-ins at w0tx.org/check-in. A tool available for net control operators. So if you'd like to help with that, it makes it a lot easier to take check-ins. We just enter in a call sign and everything else gets populated. With that, if your suffix begins with the letters A through M, Alpha through Mike, please call now. Once more, this is K1DBC Net Control for the Denver Radio Club W0TX Denver Learning Net. If you'd like to check in, we're taking call suffixes A through M, Alpha through Mike. Let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Foxtrot Papa India. Ron in Lakewood, no traffic. India.
Alpha Echo 5, India Tango. Chris in Wheat Ridge, no traffic.
And if you have any traffic or questions.
Ron in Lakewood, Kilo Foxtrot 0, Foxtrot Papa India. Kilo Foxtrot 0.
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. So I was trying to figure out, there was a double in there. Net Control, I'd like to welcome knowledge of the following check-ins. KF0FPI Ron. Someone had doubled, you guys did double there. And after that, we had AE5IT Chris checking in. So if you had tried to check in and you didn't hear your call sign, try once more, please. Okay, nothing heard at the moment. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Again, so far we had KF0 FPI Ron and 85 IT Chris checking in. Thank you both so much for checking in. We'll open up the whole alphabet. If you tried checking in and you didn't make it, or if I didn't call your call sign, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes, Alpha through Zulu, A through Z, A through Z. Let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have traffic or questions, please call now.
Whiskey Zero Alpha Whiskey Sierra, Albert in Westminster, and I'm just going to be monitoring. I can only be on for half an hour. Back to net.
November 0, Tango Romeo Papa, Jim in Lakewood. Good evening.
Kilo Echo Zero Sierra Uniform Mike with traffic.
Road Delta Zero Zulu Yankee Charlie Brendan Denver, no traffic.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Hold up there for just a moment. Net Control would like to welcome and acknowledge the following check-ins. W0AWS, Albert, not a problem. On a short time for that. Appreciate you checking in. N0TRP, Jim. KE0SUM, Jonathan, with traffic. And KD0, Zulu Yankee Charlie, Brendan. Thank you all so much for checking in. I'll throw it out once more. If there's any other check-ins at the moment, we'll take check-ins throughout the net, but any other check-ins at the moment, we're taking all call signs, all call suffixes, A through Z, Alpha through Zulu. Please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I saw that Jonathan, KE0SUM, had traffic. I guess real quick, if you had tuned into our YouTube stream, I was playing a video from a podcast, This Week in Radio Tech, from December 13th, moving 8 radio stations on Maui. So station engineers help document and show their trials and tribulations. So I'll play a few more minutes after the net here, but if you're ever interested in professional radio broadcasting, This Week in Radio Tech, TWIRT, really great podcast to check into. With that, I'll throw it over to Jonathan, KE0SUM. The net is yours.
Good evening, Jerome. Well, my memory's not as good. Did I give you an update on the SI 4732?
No, I don't think I've been on a net recently since you've made that purchase. So if you'd like to provide an update on that kind of cheap SDR radio, go right ahead.
Yeah, I've had a couple of them now, and for $25 at AliExpress, I don't have any complaints. It's small. It does what it's advertised, but it's a little finicky since you put in the frequency and then have to tell it what mode you're in, like lower sideband or upper sideband. But yeah, it works kind of as advertised. But for your $25, you're getting a toy radio receiver that is interesting to work with, but I could see maybe some value. I was out doing a POTA this weekend with my friend Dan, N0LNT, and Yeah, we tried, did some other things, but it's hard to see in the daylight. You'd have to put a blanket over your head to do the adjustments, and I think it has limited value. As I stated, for your money, it's kind of fun to play around with, but I wouldn't get too excited about it. KE0SUM, back to that.
Thank you so much for the follow-up on that. Yeah, as the old phrase saying goes, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So it looks like a pretty good package. At least it's a pretty good start for breaking out software-defined radios, shortwave radios into this form factor, and hopefully only time will tell eventually, but hopefully we'll get better versions and brighter screens and better performance and things like that. So yeah, don't write home about it, but it looks like it's a fairly good, maybe a portable radio potentially. So very good follow-up on that. So yeah, the SI4732 chip based radio has been quite popular here recently. So any questions on that? Again, this is, let me drop here for a moment. This being radio is an audio format, so to give a kind of visual description, it's kind of a palm-sized HF radio, essentially, 0.5 megahertz to 108 megahertz, lower sideband, upper sideband. It has a 1.9-inch IPS screen on it. So it's a kind of a small form factor little radio that you can use portably. But has kind of the same kind of features and functionalities as you might expect from kind of a shortwave type radio. So that's all this is. So SI4732, if you look up on AliExpress or on the internet, you can find some more information on that. Anybody else? Comments, questions, or anything else on that? Please go there.
Comment SUM.
SUM, Jonathan, go ahead.
Well, I point out a number of features, but my friend Dan, when we were doing the POTA, had said we'd been talking about it, and he said, this is okay. You could set it in the car where it's darker, but he thought it'd be a great advantage in some ways for a POTA or SOTA because you could check the band frequency, you can see how well signals are coming in, because it does do 10, 20, 40, 80. So he thought it might be useful before you take all, 30 minutes to set up an external antenna on a SOTA or POTA, you could maybe check the frequencies. So that was one other thought I had. So it might be useful for that. Back to that.
All right. Thank you so much for the continued follow-up on that. Yeah, I've still neglected to do any SOTA-POTA activities recently, so I don't know some of the niche needs needed. So, but as you mentioned, instead of trying to whip out all the heavy equipment and whatnot, this might give you a better understanding and idea of what signals might look like and what you might be able to reach and hit and things like that. So, very cool stuff. Yeah, really cool. So, yeah. More tools on our tool shelf for $20, $30 or however you can get that for. It's probably not too bad. A lot of us have nano VNAs and tiny SAs, things like that. So if you're interested, but yeah, probably better options out there for a little bit more price cost. But with that, thank you so much for the continued follow up on that. Yeah, I was wondering myself how that turned out. So with that, thank you so much again, Jonathan, KE0SUM. It is 7:44 p.m. I don't see anybody else indicated they had any traffic questions, but does anybody else have any traffic questions, comments, questions, check-ins about what we've spoken about so far, or anything else? Please call now. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. I certainly have a few recent news stories I can bring up, but this is a net for comments, questions, bringing up information on your projects that you've been working on, or again, if you have any comments or questions on anything that you're working on, licensing, hardware, antennas, there's always stuff going on. So if anybody has anything, A through Z, Alpha through Zulu, please call now.
Comment, Jerome.
Yeah, Jonathan, hearing nothing else at the moment, KE0SUM. Please go right ahead.
I was watching you on YouTube, and you're watching the little video of the radio. I wanted to comment because, let me think. It is, let me break. Oh, here's my comment. Being a ham radio operator, everybody's like an experimenter, or they tinker, and they see if they can hack the radio. So this little radio hasn't been out all that long, and there's already a YouTube video on a mod. And the mod is to, well, it changes the screen, but it's supposed to even change reception. I thought it was interesting that somebody takes, and plus he added like an extra attenuator, I think. But I thought it was interesting that ham radio operators would take this $25 radio and already put a mod in it. It's like, I'm not sure why. E0SUM, back to that.
Oh, interesting. Yep, absolutely. It's a hobby of engineering, and experimentation is really an advantage of this, having a ham radio license. ESP32, I think these are kind of like Arduino maybe based or something like that. So there's probably a lot of hardware tinkering that can be done. Maybe adding different new antennas, and a lot of probably software modifications that can be done as well. So, as you mentioned, it hasn't been out for that long, so it's really only uphill from here. So this is just like we saw with that Quansheng UV-K5 radio, and all the potential and functionality that's come out of that. We will probably see something similar in terms of new functions and new features coming out of projects like this. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just give it time, and it will only get better. Very cool. This is K1 DBC Net Control. All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else at the moment? Please call now. All right, talking about different new products and experimentation.
Hi, I'm Vance Vagel.
New project, Kilo Victor 4 Papa HT. Turn your Android phone into a modern ham radio transceiver. You heard that right, transceiver. Pretty cool project here. It's a homebrew VHF radio that makes your phone capable of voice and text communication, completely off-grid with at least a tech license. It plugs into USB-C port on the Android phone and transforms it into a fully-fledged handheld transceiver. Completely open source. Current features, $35 to build, 100% ham radio, crystal clear 22 kilohertz audio, texting just like SMS, scanning through unlimited memories, no batteries needed apart from your, I guess, phone battery, 1 watt transmit, and some accessibility options. So pretty cool projects coming up here over the last 6 months to a year. Really cool stuff here. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Please go there. Okay, just around 7:51 now, actually, Mountain Time. I'll take this opportunity to take check-ins if you're just tuning in. This is K1DBC, Kilo 1 Delta Bravo Charlie. I'm net control for the Denver Radio Club, W0TX Learning Net. It's a great place to learn about ham radio and STEM topics. It lasts about an hour long from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. And we have plenty of combined experience and expertise. So if you're just tuning in and you'd like to check in, we're taking all check-ins, Alpha through Zulu, A through Z. Let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now. One more call out at the moment. I'll make a few more calls throughout the evening. Again, this is about an hour-long meeting. If you'd like to check in and you haven't done so, let us know your call sign, your name, and if you have any traffic or questions, please call now.
Comment, SUM.
No further check-ins heard. I did hear comment, KE0SUM, Jonathan, then it is yours.
Hey, Drone. Yeah, it doesn't seem like you have a whole lot of traffic going on, but so I talked to quite a few people about quite a few subjects. So I was talking to people the other day about SWR mismatch. So say you've got a 4-to-1 SWR on your antenna, and you run it into your receiver with an antenna tuner. So the tuner is able to tune that if you have a good tuner. And I was like, well, aren't you still going to have a whole lot of loss? But from my discussions, it turns out since you've done a match, even if the SWR is not perfect, you're not losing all that much radiating power. And I just thought that was really interesting.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. As usual, I was trying to multitask. You're mentioning mismatched impedances, and essentially, even if it's slightly off or not perfect, it actually doesn't throw off the affected radiated power you mentioned there, and doesn't affect it as much as we might think it be. It does. Or if you have any other further follow up on that, go right ahead.
I think the thing that struck me is with a good antenna tuner, you're still going to get out fine and protect your radios. So, yeah, I've always been taught over the years, I want 1.5 or lower, maybe 2. But it turns out with a tuner, everything's going to work pretty darn well, which I was a little surprised by. KE0SUM, back to net.
Okay, interesting to hear. If you're using a tuner, it's you're usually fairly good, as long as you're using that tuner. SWR can be slightly positive or negative, plus or 5 or something like that. Not chasing after that 1.1-to-1 SWR ratio, as we've talked about in the past. Chasing that dragon, it would probably be impossible. So, really cool stuff. I'm just looking up an article here from 2018, Radio Antenna Mismatching, VSWR Explained. Over on the blog hackaday.com by Al Williams, he goes on to say, if you have ever operated any sort of transmitting equipment, you've probably heard about matching an antenna to the transmitter and using the right coax cable. Having everything matched, for example, at 50 or 75 ohms, allows the most power to get to the antenna and out into the airwaves. Even for receiving, this is important, but you generally don't hear about it as much for receivers. Here's a question. If a 100-watt transmitter feeds a mismatched antenna and only delivers 50 watts, where did the other 50 watts go? This is another blogger. Electronic Notes has put a multi-part blog entry that explains what happens on a mismatched transmission line, including an in-depth look at voltage. They liked the very clean graphics showing how different load mismatches affect the transmission line. There was a time when driving a ham radio transmitter into a bad load could damage the radio, but if the radio can survive, the effect isn't as bad as you might think. Post points out the feed line loss is often more significant. However, the problem with modern radios is that when they detect high SWR, they will often reduce power to prevent damage. So over on Hackaday from 2018 and on electronic notes.com.
0TX repeater.
Now, Jerome, while I brought up the fact that it's doable, I'm not advocating that, especially for a permanent setup. Then you're going to want the lowest SWR you can get. I'm saying, and when I do POTUS, tuning the antenna can take quite a while. Sometimes, depends on the antenna, etc. But if I get close on 20 meters with a little high SWR, I think that's acceptable. So it's the occasion when you need to use this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You definitely want to make sure your power is clean as possible and that your wave ratio is as good as it should be. This would just be the far-flung contacts and needs and wants. I was trying to find a video here. Let me see if I can find it. Veritasium over on YouTube did a pretty cool YouTube video on inside the Navy's indoor ocean, and it does a pretty good job of showing different waves at different frequencies and things like that, and can kind of show in a visual context what it looks like for water waves, at least, what SWR looks like and things like that. So if anybody is ever interested, I would suggest looking up Inside the Navy's Indoor Ocean, and that gives a much better visual context of what wave dynamics looks like. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Thanks again, Jonathan. If you have anything else or if anyone else does, please call in. All right, very cool stuff. Thanks, Jonathan. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, in those very, again, far-flung needs and wants, you can potentially get away with that, but definitely try to make sure your signals are as clean as possible and your SWR is as low as possible. That will just ensure everything gets out as you would expect it would. With that, again, this is K1 DBC Net Control. We're just about to tick over to about 8 p.m. Mountain Time, another 30 or so minutes. If anybody has any other further comments or questions or check-ins, please go now.
time is 8 p.m.
Drone, I can give you a little field report if you'd like.
Not a problem. Yeah, I'll just throw it out once more. Anyone else at the moment? Otherwise, we'll throw it back to Jonathan. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins, anything else at the moment? Please call now. All right, nothing heard. Jonathan, KE0SUM with field report. Go right ahead.
Thanks, Jerome. I don't know why people listening have mic fright or no comments. I don't think I'm controversial. It's just ideas. But, okay. So, Sunday I went out with N0LNT to Chatfield State Park to, well, our original reason was it was DX competition. Contest this weekend, so we were hoping to get some DX, and we did that. We set up, and we did a interesting antenna setup. It was a Delta loop, two 17-foot whips with a wire in between them. It was pretty cool. We had a clamp on a grill, metal clamp, so we could even twist it, turn it north, south, east, and west, which we did do. So we went out and set up and started listening for DX. Let me reset. So we got there and set up, and we were listening on, I think, 20 meters. And, we were hearing the competition, but we couldn't get through. We were using an Yaesu FT891 at 90 watts. And we tried and tried, but couldn't get through the pileups. So at that point, we looked at each other and said, well, we're Chatfield, so let's just activate a POTA, which we did. And we did that on 17 meters and had wonderful contacts. We had done a self-spot, so POTA chasers knew where we were on the app. But, yeah, we had a great time. So then as we were getting sort of done with the day, we were there 2 or 3 hours. All of a sudden, on 17 meters, we got a contact from Argentina. So, yeah, we got a DX contact on POTA from Argentina. Radio is so much fun to play. KE0SUM back in that.
Oh, wow. Excellent. Very cool stuff here. Yeah, great to hear about the Argentina contact. Wow. Yeah, it's quite a distance. So great to hear that report. Really do appreciate that yourself and N0LNT Dan, it looks like. I'm looking over on his QRZ page. Some on the Fort... Or this was a little bit out of date, I guess. I'm looking at here. But may not be updated just yet. But he looks like he's activated that before. But really cool stuff there. Thanks for the update. Yeah, sometimes things are successful failures. Sometimes things are a successful success. But there's always learning opportunities, and it's always a great opportunity to just go out and have a little mini field day, essentially. Just go out and try to make contacts and see what you can do. So that's awesome to hear. So thanks for the follow up on that. Yeah, if anybody's ever interested, Parks on the Air, POTA or SOTA Summits on the Air. It just provides an opportunity to just go and activate from either a summit or a park, and just contact people and just enjoy the nature and enjoy technology at the same time. So really cool stuff. This is K1 DBC Net Control. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Yep, you'll hear other people chiming in once in a while. I think KM4CFT Jonathan, he's fairly a frequent Parks on the Air operator, so you can check out his trials and tribulations over on his website and or blog, I think, as well. Website qrper.com is a pretty good website to check in on people's QRP operations. A lot of SOTA and POTA on there as well. qrper.com. With that, once more, we have another 25 or so minutes. Anybody else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Any other further follow-up? Please call now. Nothing heard at the moment. 24 or so minutes left. I certainly can bring up a few things. Haven't heard from many other people just at the moment. That's never a problem at all. We are a welcoming space, whether you're wanting to comment or not, listen or talk. Please don't hesitate to do whatever makes you feel comfortable. With that, we'll take other further comments, questions, check-ins, anything else anybody has. Otherwise, I can certainly bring up a couple things and we can throw it back. But anyone else, please call now. All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. Again, thanks, Jonathan, for bringing up all that you have. If you have anything else, please don't hesitate to chime back in. I'll read off a news article here from ARL.org, and we'll throw it back out to the group here. ARRL.org/news, article written on the 28th of February. Colorado high school students visit the Plishner Radio, Astronomy, and Space Sciences Center. In late January 2025, 17 students and staff members from Las Animas High School in Colorado visited the Deep Space Exploration Society Radio Telescope, DSES. So if you're not aware, they are a really cool nonprofit based here in Colorado, the Deep Space Exploration Society. If you're interested in radio astronomy, they have a lot of really heady topics and a lot of really amazing information to give out. They work with a lot of schools around here. Let me drop and go back to the article here. The field trip visit of high school students reflected the dreams of Michael Lowe, former DSES board president, who sought to create a center for radio astronomy and space science education in southeast Colorado, said DSES president Myron Babcock, KL7YY. Since 2009, society members have devoted hundreds of hours to rebuilding the Plishner site. In 2024, a grant from ARDC, Amateur Radio Digital Communications, provided funds to complete a new building suitable for hosting groups. DSES board member Ray Ubereken, AA0L, and DSES member Roger Oki, W3MIX, showed students how the big dish was controlled to track and focus on deep space objects, such as the Earth revolves. Let me drop for a moment. Vice President Bill Milner, Kilo Charlie 0 Foxtrot Hotel November, gave an overview of the organization's history and the years of effort required to revive the 60-foot diameter radio telescope. He introduced radio astronomy and some of the student studies DSES members have conducted since restoring the telescope, including detecting pulsars and masers, observing solar and planetary radio emissions, and mapping the hydrogen line to show which galaxies are moving toward or away from the Earth. Last couple of paragraphs here. Students braved intense winds and cold to venture to the underground bunker location of the DSES amateur radio station. Call sign Kilo Kilo Zero Papa Romeo Tango is the call sign of that station. Board member Paul Saban, NO0T, demonstrated how long-distance contacts are made using HF transceivers. Under his supervision, several students learned to call CQ. Unfortunately, because band conditions were poor, no student got a response. They were able to later make a contact with Canary Islands, and students observed two-way HF communications between stations over 5,000 miles apart. About half the students who visited the site will participate in this year's Colorado Science Olympiad competition. Their coach, Jennifer Poynton, said she wanted students to see the Plishner facilities and learn how DSES can provide opportunities for research and mentorship in astronomy, radio, electronics, and engineering. Very last part here. Very quick brief again. DSES, Deep Space Exploration Society, is an all-volunteer group united by love for science, exploration, and learning about space. Its members include engineers, whether that be from software, radio, or electrical, and professionals, pilots, business owners, military veterans, construction workers, truck drivers, and amateur radio operators. They welcome new members. Student membership is free. So check out their website, dses.science. Really cool stuff here. I'll throw it out to the group. Any comments or questions on radio astronomy? This site, the radio astronomy site, the Plishner site in Haswell. Anyone else? Please call now.
Question, KE0SUM.
KE0SUM, go right ahead.
I used to be in net control, and it's always horrible when you hear crickets. So I was talking or listening or somebody the other day, and the question was raised. Say Saturday morning you tune into the Colorado Repeater Association. I think that's what does it. And they have a broadcast. It's a net they meet on, and then they rebroadcast. It's called Amateur Radio Newsline. So my question is, you're not really allowed to rebroadcast. So how do they get around that? Or I don't understand the rules. So that's my question. How do they get to redo a broadcast situation?
All right, this is K1DBC Net Control. I was trying to find, I think there's basically two things. Basically, we can't transmit music. Apart from, we can play, I think Happy Birthday or an anthem or something to the International Space Station. Apart from that, the only other kind of exception here is, at least on the amateur radio newsline, in the FCC laws itself, it can be retransmitted by any licensed radio amateurs as long as his or her station operation conforms to Section 97.111 and 97.113 regarding one-way transmissions. They may be retransmitted by commercial and non-commercial FCC licensed broadcast entities. It may also be retransmitted over the internet as long as the actual audio file used is the one on their website. So pretty much one of the very few exceptions to very major rules. That's probably why that's allowed.
Oh, thanks for the information, Daron, and I know I'm compliant. Ha ha.
All right, sounds good. Yep, I've kind of always wondered about that as well, about how stations can rebroadcast that. None of our repeaters really are interconnected or do retransmit anything, so we're a little bit behind the game on that. But if anybody is ever interested or has the knowledge or expertise, we are definitely looking for people to help with our repeaters, because it is getting fewer and fewer people who do know how to work on repeater sites and who can climb them and have the knowledge to program them and work with them. So if anybody's interested, please don't hesitate to get a hold of us. It's 8:15 Mountain Time. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now.
0TX repeater.
All right, this is K1 DBC Net Control. Again, we don't mind a quieter net. That's okay. Just keep in mind this is a place for you all. If you have any questions about ham radio or electronics or any projects you want to update us on or anything, we're taking all comments, questions, check-ins just for the count. But anyone else out there, comments, questions, check-ins, please call now.
No, I have another question to run.
All right, I'll throw it once more out there. Otherwise, we can throw it back to Jonathan. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now. Okay, nothing heard. Not a problem at all with that. KE0SUM, the net is yours.
Thanks, Jerome. I hope I'm not boring you or anyone else, but I love ham radio, so I was wondering, do you think the future of ham radio, say you become a new technician, are you going to go with VHF, UHF, or are you going to go digital? So I don't know if most people think about digital or if they're thinking about VHF, UHF originally at the start. Maybe they're thinking about HF, but I wonder what percentage are really wanting digital. Now, down at the store, I know the Parker Radio Association, they send people in and they say they want the FT70R. And that's because it is it's an entry-level digital. So I don't know if they're pushing that or not, but I still wonder what percentage of hams would go for digital, and that's their main motivation. I understand more experienced hams doing that, but I don't know about a new one. KE0SUM, back to that.
Great question there, Jonathan. Analog versus digital, what is probably an average technician going to use? I'd say probably the $20 bow thing they can buy off of Amazon, something like that. So I think DMR Brandmeister and C4 FM radios handhelds have come down in price. You could probably get something sub 100, I'm guessing. But just the outlay maybe is a little bit more overwhelming potentially. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, in terms of, I know we've talked about, if you look at repeaterbook.com, you can see what repeaters are released online, and digital repeaters are online. So you can kind of compare what is more popular out there, DMR, D-Star, Brandmeister, things like that. Yaesu System Fusion, things like that. DMR, there's about 56 reported here at the moment, 10 D-Star and 28 Wires X repeaters at the moment. So it kind of maybe gives a showing of what's at least popular at the moment. But DMR, I think, has always kind of been a little bit more dominant. But and some of the old guards say using the internet for contact using radio is it's not pure radio, but it's not pure radio, but it's still radio communication. So a lot of options out there. and DMR and other digital radios are available. But yeah, great question. If anybody has anything on that, or Jonathan, if you have anything further on that, but I'm guessing probably analog VHF, UHF, your cheaper HTs, maybe right out the gate at least.
Oh, no, I think you're right. You get a $35, $25 Baofeng and listen and decide if you want to get a more expensive radio. That's what I did. I kind of read articles that, oh boy, the old guys on here are really mean to you. Well, that's of course not true. I'm an old guy. But you say, I was wondering about digital. Did you say Bandmeister? How active is that?
Let's see. This is K1 DBC Net Control. There's a lot of great people out there. So yeah, don't let old rumors prevent anybody from getting on the air. According at least to Repeater Book, this is repeaters at least that report online at least via an internet connection. It's showing it's up running right now. DMR shows there's 56 repeaters in Colorado. DMR at 10 D-Star. And 28 Wires X repeaters. So 58 or 56 repeaters DMR, it sounds like, is a fairly more dominant repeater system, at least here in this state, at least. So I'll throw it back to you, Jonathan. This is K1DBC to KE0SUM.
I thought you mentioned the specific format of Bandmeister, I think you called it, or so. I was curious about that particular digital mode.
Okay, the ham radio variant of digital mobile radio DMR is called Brandmeister. I think Motorola maybe owns the professional side of things, but Brandmeister, you would have heard of it. I may just not be saying it clearly into the mic, but Brandmeister, very popular DMR repeater system.
Oh, so this is hooked up with Motorola. Well, now it's starting to make sense to me. Thanks, Jerome.
Not a problem. Yeah, pinch of salt with that. I don't know if it's Motorola exactly, but I know it's I think an open source radio product, and Brandmeister is the company that's ran with it from our end, at least. With that, anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? It's 8:22. DMR versus analog radios. Things are getting cheaper, but as Jonathan mentioned, yeah, it's you kind of buy some of the cheaper stuff to see what you might be interested in. You can definitely cut costs by doing a bit of research and understanding what might work for you, which mode might work for you. Again, regardless of the account of the amount of repeaters, there's things like Pi Stars or MMDVM, which is basically like a little Raspberry Pi you run on your home network, and that's capable of providing the RF connection to your radio, whichever variant of digital radio you may have. I think it works for C4FM, DMR, and I think several others. With that, I'll throw it out to the group. Anyone else? Comments, questions, check-ins? Please call now. Okay, well, even for us, this has been a fairly quiet net. Again, do appreciate Jonathan, KE0SUM, for continuing to jump in there. And that is not a problem at all. It's not hogging the airwaves or anything. This is an hour-long meeting, and I'd love to continue this as much as possible. So if there's nobody checking in, if there's not much going on, we may have shorter nets. But if there's something to talk about, I'm more than happy to help coordinate that. With that, comments, questions, check-ins. We have another 5 or so minutes. Please call now.
0TX repeater.
Oh, Jerome, you've had nets where we had 20 people on. So I think it comes and goes, maybe seasonal. So, yeah, keep up with the good work.
All right, thanks for the kind words of encouragement there. I really do appreciate that. Again, if anybody's ever interested in taking net control operations, I started broadcasting on YouTube several years ago to show what it looks like to run a net. So if you're ever interested, you can just check out one of our YouTube videos on youtube.com/Denver Radio Club. We have a tool that we use, w0tx.org/check-in. We just type in a call sign and then it fills in the rest of the information. So if you're ever interested in running this net or any other nets for us, please don't hesitate to reach out. Net at w0tx.org or Elmer at w0tx.org. Plenty of information on our website. Just a couple plugs there, but just if anybody's ever interested, there's plenty of opportunity. There's 54 weeks a year or something like that, so that's the amount of nets that we have to run, and we have plenty of help. Can't thank enough Jim and Zero TRP for helping out previously, and let me grab his name because it's undeserved if I don't do that. KD0CGF, Kenny as well. Can't thank enough him. And Alex and others that run our Sunday night net as well. I don't have much more. I'll play a few more minutes of a video that I was playing earlier on about moving 8 radio stations on the island of Maui for a professional radio broadcasting station. But apart from that, I don't have much else at the moment. If anybody has anything, please don't hesitate to jump in. We're taking all comments, questions, check-ins. Another few more minutes. Please call now.
Well, Jerome, since we're on ham radio and broadcasting over the airways, I'd like to thank the other 10 people listening. Which, of course, is a joke.
Yes, exactly. To all the millions of our listeners out there, can't thank you all enough. We did have 7 check-ins, a little bit on the lower count, but that is not a problem at all. We had a few people watching on YouTube as well. Can't thank you enough for that as well. Last few more minutes. Anything else? Please call now.
WD0CIV, WD0CIV, Charles in Denver, just checking in.
Hey, Charles, good evening. Got you in there just at the last few minutes here. WD0CIV, thank you so much for checking in. Okay, I guess we'll just take this as a natural ending to the net. Just a couple minutes left only, really. Thank you all so much for attending. This has been K1DBC, net control operator for W0TX, Denver Radio Club Learning Net. It's been a pleasure as well. We had a total, again, as 7 or 8 check-ins just then. Like to appreciate everyone who participated, vocally or non-vocally. Especially appreciate and thank our Elmers. Thanks to the Denver Radio Club for allowing us to use their repeaters. Join us on the 3rd Wednesday of the month, 6 p.m. for an Elmer session prior to the regularly scheduled Denver Radio Club meeting at 7. Take place online. More information, w0tx.org. With that, this is K1DBC, Net Control. I'll play a couple more minutes on my YouTube channel here, of a video here. But with that, 7-3, and I will be clear.
Remote control tuners from Crown, all that. Okay. This combiner here is under a little stress. It's got plenty of fans on it, blowing on it, but it's working hard. Here's the backside. a competing broadcast. A competing broadcast. Okay. You'll notice there are some toroids in use here.
Yeah. And kind of grounding.
Another competing broadcaster here, I believe. This is a smaller community type radio system here. I got to point something out. Look at all those 111 repeat coils from Western Electric. Woo! Now, they might still be valuable. I don't know.
Probably goes with all of this.
Oh, yeah, it might go with all of that. A lot of old telephone switch and patch it.
I remember these.
Do you really? I'm sorry.
This is the newer. This is what they're actually using for fiber now to come up and down.
So there's fiber in and out of here, okay?
Yeah.
And more fiber cabinets here.
Yeah.
Well, this is Fujitsu equipment. That's interesting.
That's
1,000 feet
about
here?
9,800 right
9,800 here. And the peak of the peak is
a couple hundred feet above us.
Wow.
10,023 feet.
Wow. Well, this has been fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. You've got such a combination of old. By the way, some of this stuff, here's a date of 1987. Now, that has been, what?
There's its frequency.
30.
5.9 gig. 6 gig. Right there.
Yep.
Old 6 gig equipment.
And this was installed, 37 years ago?
Yep.
37 years ago. October of 91, June of 87, June of 87, assuming those are all installation dates.
Yeah. That's only dates I see.
And those, hey, you know what? These labels were all made before Brother came out with their P-Touch. Because they're all there. They're all dymos.
That was the old press label.
Yeah, yep, the dymos. Look to me like UHF TV antennas, and they are.
It is. I confirmed that.
Okay. There's somebody else's Scala STL dish. And in just a minute, we're going to point up the tower and look and see the FM transmitting antennas that are a little more up the tower. That's a very new Catrine Scala antenna. All right, now we're going to look up. Tell me what we're seeing here.
That is the Hawaiian Public Broadcast antenna system.
And there are two
transmitters going into that system.
Yeah.
That's the two 5 kilowatt Nautils that were on their side of the building.
That's why it's got two fine tuners on that one. Behind the big dish, there's somebody else's.
I don't know what that.
Don't know whose that one is. Oh, let's see. Let me get turned around here. There's somebody's.
That's the K-Love.
K-Love's 4-bay. It's half wave spaced antenna, so it's got a gain of about 2. And there's somebody's STL. We don't know whose. Not ours. And if I can crank, there we go. There's a diamond-shaped FM antenna on that right up there.
Yeah, that's a single bay.
Okay. And there's another single bay on top of that, but below it, there's
the 4-bay horizontal.
And that's ours?
That's ours.
Okay.
And then that is ours.
That translator. Wow. And that.
All right, thanks for watching This Week in Radio Tech. It's the podcast, This Week in Radio Tech, on YouTube and on their own website, I believe. Moving 8 radio stations on Maui with Russell Lafferty.